all I know is hate. Vindictive, horrid hatred running off of me in thick mist clouds oozing across the floor, tainting the ground where I lay, bitterly awaiting the liberty of death. This is without a doubt the single worst found footage movie I have seen in my life. It resides on a level of awful so abyssal it breathes the same air as The Creepy Doll or any number of Asylum films. It caught my eye with a mildly interesting poster and I watched it with an open mind and heart, and for my goodwill to be so thoroughly abused feels like a betrayal. It's that awful. There were clues I ignored in my naivete. The film is based on the legend of the chained oak of Alton in Staffordshire, England. The legend states that an earl was cursed by an old beggar woman, and when a branch fell from a tree, a member of his lineage would die. To prevent this from happening, the earl had the oak chained to prevent any more death in his family. Who this earl would have been, or when this would have taken place, is up for debate, but it's more sensibly argued the chains were an attempt by nobility to preserve the oak when Alton Towers Garden were extended in the 18th century. All of this is more interesting than what the movie does with it. The movie invents a witch, and I lost interest before they could explain more in depth how it's all connected other than witchcraft and human sacrifices. From the moment the movie begins, it becomes a demonstration in utterly befuddling direction. The film begins with a still image of the oak as various interviews regarding the tree play in comic book styled single frames, oddly placed all over the screen. It doesn't sound too strange until the team the movie follows are introduced the same way, through a phone recording in a horizontal position. I thought it was quirky and novel at the time, and it held my interest to the point where I wanted to see where the movie was going with it. All the characters, or whatever I'm supposed to call them, meet up in a pub to introduce themselves, and the first thing that happens is one of them leaves the movie. He just up and leaves with no explanation, with several of the others reiterating, "He left as soon as he saw the cameras. He left as soon as he saw the cameras." It's painfully clear none of them were given full scripts but just basic character motivations and then told to improvise their way through the scene, which none of them are very good at. It's like listening to me trying to socialize, it's painful. The basic gist is someone has found a journal that either belonged to or described a local witch and how she is somehow tied to the chain oak through a curse, and the crew is there to re-examine the legend with this newfound knowledge. Which right there seems to already be done if they have this journal. They could just have it authenticated by experts and let public opinion be swayed naturally, and then we wouldn't have had a movie! Everyone would have been happy! But no, they don't do any of that. Instead, they go into the forest and 5 seconds in the director announces they're lost. Even though they're standing on a very obvious, frequently used road. Immediately the clucking hens they brought along that are supposed to be investigators but don't do shit that could be called investigation and only exist to scream, whimper and moan, start screaming, whimpering and moaning over this minor inconvenience to forced group tension where there was no reason whatsoever. It's especially pointless when they find the damn tree 30 seconds later and the director states they're gonna have a seance. And they all agree to it. No questions asked. And when something supernatural does happen, it's played off as par for the course, even though they have what I guess is supposed to be verified paranormal events on camera. What I'm getting at is not one scare, twist or event of this film makes any damn sense. Scenes start and finish simply to exist and doesn't connect to anything, with no motivation to explain why anything done is done or why anything that happens, happens. Eventually one guy, Darren, played by Darren McAree, actually calls the director on the bullshit going on and fully acknowledges none of it makes any damn sense in what I consider to be the highlight of the film. But any elation I might feel is diminished by the fact that all of it is made out to be his damn fault. When they were at the tree, he took a piece of it with him. Why? To investigate. How? I don't know, he just says he's investigating. Again, the randomness of this movie has to be seen to be believed. Bunch of us are meeting up to investigate a journal. Except one. He yeeted out of here. Oh look, there's something outside. Nah, there isn't, you silly. And, oh god, we're lost! No, we're not. Let's summon the dead! They touched us! Let's scream for 3 hours till the guy who wanted to get out of here convinces us to stay. Strange shit happens at night. You guys set this up? No, because I did! I vandalized a cultural landmark for chisels! Let's put it back. Oop! No, I'm dead. Which doesn't seem like much, because it isn't. The film is only half an hour long and it still feels padded to hell and back. All the so-called motivation is gone over at least twice, as all the actors awkwardly repeat themselves, uncertain of what they're supposed to say, keeping the audience hostage for some misguided desire that a longer runtime is a good thing. I could have it over in 10 minutes and it still would have been so bad Crypt TV wouldn't have picked it up. And finally, let me dissect some of the most atrocious found footage cinematography I have seen on film. For the most part, it's par for the course. A bunch of people with no idea how to use a camera is told to hold a camera and film whatever strikes them as interesting. It works because these people clearly have no idea how to hold or use a camera. But then, every once in a while, they try to pretend they're making a documentary and spice in artistic shots and dramatic angles they clearly have no idea how to pull off. It's especially baffling when one of these dramatic shots happens at the same time as the director announces they're lost, which only makes the whole thing seem more fake. And then it commits the single biggest sin any found footage film can. With no explanation, for no reason, it stops being found footage at the very end. The Legend of the Chained Oak is awful. Not even enjoyably awful, just awful. It's so awful, it's pushing me to give it the lowest score I have ever given a movie, as I sentence it to a 2 on a scale of 11.